السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فهو المهتدي فمن يضلل فلا هادي له. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for preserving our lives once again to witness this weekly tafsir of us. We ask Allah to put barakah in all our efforts, and we ask Allah to increase us in knowledge, to increase us in iman, to keep us upon ikhlas and mutaba'ah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask him to be able to say only that which is pleasing to Allah, and in tandem with the risala of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As we are well aware, we are looking at the tafsir of Suratu-n-Naba, which we had started. This is the third episode, inshallah. We ask Allah to make it easy for us to be able to convey it as it ought to be conveyed. I will pray that Allah make our listeners understand it as they ought to understand it. And may Allah make it easy for us to also be able to pick the lessons and be able to follow them. And we ask Allah not to accept it from us as an act of worship and admit us to Jannah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون. Inshallah, we'll be looking at these three verses today. Allah says, Amma yatasa'alun. Amma yatasa'alun. This calls to question what the kuffar and others like them and those in between, the things they ask amongst themselves. Amma yatasa'alun. About what do they ask? Do they discuss, amongst themselves? Those who deny the ayat of Allah, when the risala of the Rasul started, a lot of issues were discussed, particularly around the fact that we'll die, the fact that we'll be raised, the fact that Allah will gather us together, the fact that there will be rewards and there will be punishment. The kuffar doubted the fact, they doubted the ayat of Allah that spoke about the rising. They equally doubted the verse of Allah that spoke about the fact that after we are dead, we'll be gathered again. Allah would raise us. Allah would raise us up, and He would gather us together, and there will be something called the judgment. They doubted it amongst themselves. Then Allah talks about that with which they discuss, with which they are confused about the great news. About what is it they are confused about? They are confused about that great news. What is the great news? Inshallah, we'll get there. The Mufassirun are divided on what that number is, that news, that glad tidings, on what it is. What exactly is it? What exactly it is that they also differ amongst themselves. Inshallah, as we proceed, we would touch on this. But they deny, they speak about this great event, which has long been disputed amongst them. Some of them believe that it is false. It is not going to happen. Some of them, depending on what is it they believe in. When they say the Naba, when they say the news, some Mufassirun says it is about the day of Qiyamah and the various things that will happen on that day. Some Mufassirun says it is the Quran. Inshallah, Allah willing, we'll touch on some of those things that they have said. But there are two things that these people feel about this occurrence that is going to happen. One is to outrightly deny that it's going to happen. And one is to have some kind of doubt that is it possible that it happens? What is the probability of it happening? And these issues are the fact that it will be raised. The fact that it will be raised. So they were divided amongst those who believed this, from the people of Iman who believed in truth that will be raised. And there were also people who disbelieved that will raise outrightly. They said, nah, after we are dead, so I will go to when we have been turned to bone, when we have even been turned to soil, when are we going to raise us? You raise us, Allah would raise us, and also raise our forefathers. That is something that is strange, astonishing. So they were divided amongst those who, because when the news came, when the Risala of the Prophet Muhammad came, when Allah started revealing the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, the Quraysh among themselves, they discussed. They sat together and they discussed. Some of them believed that yes, we believe that this is going to happen, because there have been signs, because the Prophet Muhammad did not just tell them to accept. There were things that were said, even in the revelation of the Quran, that Allah will say, if I have done this, if I have done this, just like as we'll see in this particular surah, if I have done this, if I have done this, then no, I can do this. So already Allah has given them enough proofs of it happening. So some of them believed in that result, particularly because the person who said it has never been known to be a liar, and he has been known to be somebody who is trustworthy. So there were those who believed, and there were those who called it false outrightly, that it is not going to happen. And there were those who were in between, who doubted. Will it happen? Will it not happen? Will it happen? Will it not happen? And when you look at it today too, there are people who believe. Alhamdulillah, we believe. Alhamdulillah, as Muslims we believe. At least good majority of us believe. And few of us follow that belief with actions by doing what is right. Some people outrightly do not believe. Even amongst the Muslims, they doubt it. That is why you find them never doing something that is right. And some people have doubt. What if we die? And when we die, we are not raised. So just the way it is within the Muslims, then it is within the larger population of people. The Muslims generally believe in this. And there are those who do not believe, who are just in the middle. The Christians, the Jews, they have their own beliefs, but the beliefs is also what? They believe in an aspect of it and do not believe in other aspect of it. And the kuffar will outrightly say, when we die, we will not rise. So those are divisions. And so they ask themselves, they argue amongst themselves, about the truth of the message of the Prophet Muhammad, even as a whole. And it's still the Risala. Suratu-n-Naba sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. On the truth of the message of the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself. And about that, which they also argue, there are also those who accepted in truth and those who belie it, who say no, it is not possible. His message cannot be true. And they will call it different things. There are those who call it sihr, it is magic. When they look at the message of the Quran, there are those who call it shir, it is music. And there are those who call it asatir al-awwali. That these are the stories of those who are gone by. In another vein, يَتَسْأَلُونَ عَنِ الْقُرْآنِ. They also argue among themselves They ask questions among themselves. They go back and forth among themselves. And in the Quran, الذي جاء به Muhammad, about the Quran which Muhammad came with. And of course, it is in this Quran that we have the issue of the rising that will be raised. It is also in this Quran that we have the issue of Allah gathering us together. It is also in this Quran that we have the issues explaining that we are going to be accountable for what you have done, and there will be hisab, the day of accountability. Wal jaza, and there will be rewards, punishments, and reward for good deeds. And this is a particular day that is not something that we can deny. It is not accepting of any kind of denial or doubt. وَلَكِنَّ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. However, those who have called it lie, بِلِقَاءِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, that we are going to meet Allah, لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ وَلَوْ جَاءَتْهُمْ كُلُّ آيَاتٍ. They would never believe, no matter the kind of evidences you give them, no matter the kind of signs you give them. In the time of old, the early prophets, they gave them signs. They asked for signs. They said, okay, you surely, you said this is going to happen, this is going to happen. If you want us to believe in Allah, if you want us to believe that there is going to be a day that will be called to question, then tell a female she-camel to come out from this rock. It happened. Did they believe? They didn't believe. They didn't believe. With all the signs that Musa came with, the people of Pharaoh did not believe. They did not. Allah guided some of them. The magicians believed, they followed that path, and Allah guided them. So those who believe will believe, but majority would not believe no matter what you do, no matter what you say. Many people today know the truth about Islam, but will they follow it? Even amongst us, those who do Jalabi, those who do Sufiya, those who do, no matter what, they would be running in circles. When the issue of Felix Nola happened and people were talking left and right, no matter what evidences that people, they keep running in circles. At some point, they started claiming behind the shade. Despite having claimed that they are not one. Because what? They are fishing for excuses. No matter what you say, their hearts are locked. And of course, this also is with regards to that day, the day of Qiyamah. So some people are destined for Jahannam. No matter what you say, they will enter it. Ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhuma, said that the Quran should sit together when the Quran was revealed, and they will speak among themselves. And some of them would believe in the message, would say, okay, I think what he's saying is true. And some of them will also deny this. They will disbelieve in it. And it is on these فَنَذَلَتْ أَمَّا يَتَسَأَلُونَ, about that which they discuss among them, about that which they ask among them, about that which they dispute amongst themselves. The Quraysh. Also from Al-Hasan, he said, when the Prophet Muhammad was raised, the people came together and were going back and forth among themselves, trying to question what is it they are hearing in terms of the revelation that has come to the Prophet Muhammad, and in terms of what he was calling them to. فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ, then Allah revealed أَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ, about that which is about that great news. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he called people to Tawheed, and he called them to Risala. He called them to the oneness of Allah in His worship, that only Allah is deserving of worship. And he brought the message to them. And among the message he brought to them was to tell them about the fact that we'll be raised after we are dead. Al-Ba'ath Ba'd al-Maut, that will be raised after we are dead. And he read to them the Quran. He recited to them the Quran. And they started, discussing this amongst themselves. And they will tell themselves, what is this that the Prophet Muhammad has come with? And they will argue among themselves. they would argue among themselves about what he has brought. And that is how this surah came to be. Allah wanted to demystify what it is they are arguing among themselves. Allah wanted to answer them about the question. And Allah wanted them to give them proofs about what the Prophet Muhammad has brought. That indeed, what the Prophet has brought is the truth and nothing but the truth. So you see, when you also want to call people to the deen, or you want to convince them, you have to come from the known to the unknown. You see how Allah, arranged the thoughts in this particular surah. You see how Allah arranged the thought in this particular surah to further emphasize that will be raised, to further tell them that they have to believe in the day of Qiyamah and everything around it. He also gave them evidence, the reason why they have to believe. That is it not we that did this? Is it not we that have done this? Is it not we that have done this? So if we can do this, we can also do that which you deny. We can also do that which you doubt amongst yourself, which is the rising after we are dead. It is a thing that would naturally occur amongst the people when anybody comes to them and say he has been sent. When people also come to us today and say, okay, they are this, we want to be sure of their substance. If somebody talks now and is giving fatwa, you want to know the pedigree of that person that entitled the person to be able to give the fatwa is given. What school did this go? Who did he learn under? How long did he learn? Who are those who have recommended him? And things around that generally. We are going to do that. So when people claim that they are Anbiya, that they are Nabi, when they claim so, the people have a way of testing them. They want to see the signs. They want to see the dalil, the dalail. They want to see the evidences to confirm their truthfulness. And they will decide whether to follow their ruling or whether to even deal with them. And once they confirm that the person is in truth saying the truth, of course, they follow him. They follow him. And that was the case of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They followed him. It took a while before the majority of people were able to fall in line. But at the end, the majority of people eventually fell in line after the Fatih al-Makkah. So that is a normal thing for people to want to check, to want to confirm. So when they ask among themselves, when they argue, when they go the back and forth, it is not something abnormal. The only thing is that those who would accept, and those who would never accept, will never accept. So when the Prophet Muhammad came with the Tawheed, with the pure Tawheed of the worship of Allah, the belief in Allah, prostrating to Allah and Allah alone, and he brought evidences on the oneness of Allah, about the oneness of Allah, a lot of evidences that everybody in the heavens and in the heart and everything would come on the day of Qiyamah as slaves of Allah. We are all answerable to him and all be gathered before him. It is him that should be worshipped, and at the end of the day, he's going to call everybody to question. And everybody will come on that day as what has added to him. And that is without leaving anything out of men, of jinn, and even the malaika. And that on this particular day that we are going to meet Allah, we are also going to be called to question. And we will all be on our feet standing. The mushrikun, they affirmed the fact that there is a Lord, there is a God that is greater than everything. There is a God that created us. There is a God that provides for us. So that they believe that Allah exists. And they believe that Allah did the things that we all see. They don't deny that it is Allah that created the heavens and they created the earth. That is the Mudabbir. He is the Razik. He is the Khaliq. They don't doubt that. Because when you ask them, they just tell Ayakulun Allah. That would they would answer. La yakulun Allah. They will say it is Allah that did it. Who created you? They will say it's Allah. However, they do not believe that only Allah should be worshipped. That only Allah, only one Lord. No, that's something that is strange. So we'll not leave all this our God. Our Aliyah will leave it and we'll not go to one God. And it's not possible now. 2 heads are better than one. What if we now have 300 heads? Are they not better than one? In their own thinking. And they would say that they are seeking nearness to Allah through their small gods. Through the idols they worship. They are trying to seek nearness to get closer to Allah. And they worship the different gods, the different idols that they worship. And to cap it all, that they do not believe that will be raised. They do not believe that will be gathered to be asked questions. On that, they do not believe. They believe in Allah. They believe Him as the creator. They believe Him as the provider. But they believe that they can't get to Him except through the idols. And they also believe that this world is only to be lived once. And once we die, we'll never rise. And unfortunately, beliefs like this are growing by the day. When you look at the way people think, when you look at Twitter, when you look at the way people comment, when you look at how unwise people are, when you look at how uncouth they are, when you look at how they do not care of consequences, they don't give a damn about anything. And unfortunately, because we also travel, cultures are mixing, you understand, the world in the palaces has now become a single village. So when the Prophet Muhammad, in the beginning of the dawah, told them that there is going to be what Allah was going to raise us, we will return. We are going to return. And there's going to be accountability. We have accounts and we are going to be questioned. And there's also going to be rewards. The kuffar of Mecca went against this. The kuffar of Mecca did not accept this. The kuffar of Mecca rejected this. And it now become a theme of discussion. Look at him. See what is in. The words are heavy. The way the words are couched are compelling. But something within them just feels it's not possible. And even if it's going to come from, who is it coming from? So they denied it. And Allah now gives them a news. And what is that news? According to some of the Mufassirun, وَهَذَا الْخَبَرُ الْآهِلُ وَالْقُرْآنِ. This great news is what is the Quran. Because the Quran what gathers within it about the rising, about the gathering, and everything around it. And as we would see in this particular surah. So, about what are they asking? About what they deny, about what they refuse to accept amongst them. And they are seen as a thing of joke, as something to be joked about. Unfortunately today, this belief is spreading. After Hidayah has come, people do not care. During Ramadan, people eat. Some people would deceive themselves. During Ramadan, they stop all their wrong actions. And as they are preparing to end, they'll be telling you, don't worry, after Ramadan, you are going to see. Like a particular musician. During Ramadan, I don't know if he smokes, but all his social media activities, you see that it's on every day he would have a post, he'll be posting a religious based post. Then before the end of Ramadan, he will announce after Ramadan, after Ramadan, we would enjoy ourselves. I will release a music, we'll enjoy. Immediately after Ramadan, they start smoking, they start doing everything. Who are we deceiving? It's one of the indications that those people do not believe in this thing. When somebody will call himself or herself a Muslim and will be changing sex and doing all sorts. People who call themselves Muslims, they'll be doing money ritual. And many times they are not even afraid to show this. They're actually not different from the people of Mecca. If the people of Mecca are not even better than them, the kuffar of Mecca. Because there are stages where these people, when they get into, they'll be afraid and they'll call Allah. But whether when we're in trouble, when things that we do not remember Allah. We do not remember Him. There are some of them who, I was listening to one of them. His name is Habib. One of these popular, I don't want to mention his name, but for those who, but his Muslim name is Habib. And I saw a video flashed on my screen a while ago, a few days ago, and I saw him saying, and they wanted to kill him. They came to his house. That he has an Ifa. He has something that they wanted to steal away. You understand? But the Ifa steals the person. You understand? And the person is no more something around that, in his house. He has a issue. He has Ifa. And he's not scared. And unfortunately, anytime he does something, you find some Afars there, sitting to eat, to collect money. And sometimes it goes to them. And they also invite him, whether they are doing Maulid Nabi or doing all this stuff that they do. All these are a form of denial of that particular day. It's a form of denial that we're going to be raised. So, the people of Mecca, they deny that will be raised. They take it as a thing of joke. So, a lot of people today also take these things as joke. They just see it as something that they can laugh about. And when the Prophet Muhammad told them about the coming back, about our rising after we are dead, this really was surprising to those, who were hearing it. Surprising to those who were hearing it, of the message of the Quran, and nobody has it. About the message about the rising after we are dead. And this is one of the messages, the first messages, of the news the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought to them. Another spoke about their denial of these clear signs, of these clear messages, when they will say, the reasons, and these are some of the reasons of their denial. They will say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillah. Hal nadullukum ala rajulin. Should we not show you a man? Should we show you a man? يُنَبِّئُكُمْ إِذَا مُزِّقْتُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ إِنَّكُمْ لَفِي خَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. That after we have been buried, after we have been disintegrated, when they bury us, they will decompose, and our body parts will be disintegrated, and will change form totally, and everything. He said, after we have gone all through this process of decomposition, and even some people during battles, during accidents, their hands have gone, their legs are gone, everything is apart. People who are victims of ritual, want to go down, want to go down, want to get down, want to get. And after all these have happened, that will now become newly born, newly created, new creatures. Come and listen to him. Come and listen. Things like that. When people call people upon truth today, look at this, look at your friend, they'll start laughing. When people call people upon dawah, they'll start calling people names. Is this, is that, is this, is that. They can call him extremism, they can call him Salafi 1990. There's no name they won't give people. Insofar as they are calling them upon the truth, people hate to hear the truth. And one of the ways to discourage those speaking the truth is to call them names. And it was the same thing that the kuffar of Mecca did. Then they will say, Aftara Allah kadiban amu bi jinnah. Is he creating falsehood against Allah? Is it concocting lies? That is the kuffar talking about the Prophet Muhammad. You know, we said that they believe in Allah. And they said, is it concocting lies against Allah? Because they know that Allah is also their own Allah. They just believe that they are intermediaries. So when they say Allah, don't be surprised that the kuffar are saying Allah. Are they trying to defend Allah? Are they trying to speak on behalf of Allah? Yes, they believe in Allah. So they said, is the Prophet concocting these things against Allah? Or is he mad? You can see, they'll call him mad. Innaka la majnoon. You are mad. That is what they'll on their own mouth. I want to be lying with that. So today too, they'll call you names if you are upon the path of dawah. They expect that if your dawah gets to a level, you are going to be called names. If you are called names, you are not the first to be called names. Just ensure that you are speaking the truth with evidence and you are sincere about what you are doing. And keep praying to Allah for His protection, for His guidance, and to keep you upon sincerity. So what has happened before will happen again. If you are on the path of dawah, it is a normal thing that one would see. And that is what the Prophet Muhammad saw. He was called a madman. And that is what they are implying in this. Then Allah replies them. Rather, it is those who do not believe in the day of Qiyamah. Fil adab, they are the ones that will eventually be punished. What dolal ba'id, and they have gone astray in a very wide way. They have gone far astray. They have gone far astray. Your Prophet Muhammad is not mad, and he can never be mad. He is upon the truth. He was sent indeed in truth. It is those who are against him. See, it's a never-ending battle. Everybody would not be able to accept your message. Everybody. It's not possible that everybody would accept your message. It's not possible. It's not even possible if you're upon the right path that the majority will accept you. But it's the sunnah of Allah that only few or the fewer people will be on the path. So that is why one would marvel at people who see crowd as a justification or who see crowd as a basis for their truthfulness. It can't be so. Allah may grant somebody acceptance. But that acceptance, when you even compare it, so people of BDR, when you compare, you may not be able to quantify, you may not be able to place them side by side. But there's what is called quality and there is what is called quantity. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam started too, it was quality versus quality. You find 300 men plus facing 1,000 men times 3 of their numbers, and Allah will support them. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. And when they threw, they were not the one throwing. As they were throwing, Allah was also throwing. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. So what the kuffar were seeing was much than what was physically available of men. Allah has junud. So don't let kamfi atin qalilatin ghalabat fi'atan kathira biiznillah. Many are just few people who would be able to trump the large numbers. So it is not always about numbers. It's about quality. Value quality over quantity. Never be able to gauge your truthfulness or your acceptance from Allah from the numbers. La, don't do that. Face Him and face Him alone. Whether you're on the part of dawah, whether you feel that few people are listening or no one is listening, just keep at it. I was speaking with one of my ustads yesterday and he was telling me that when Sheikh Saadi or Saidi as Saidi, some people will say that the correct pronunciation is what as Saidi, whichever it is. He has also been popularly known as Saadi in many parlances, even with the Arabs too. That there was a period when he was teaching, when he started teaching a particular book on Aqidah, and the people who were just listening to him, the students were 5. And at some point, all of them left. And it was only Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen that was left. Only one person that was left, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. And on that day, he became happy that from the beginning to the end, only Sheikh Uthaymeen was able to benefit from him. And he gave him an apple. Sheikh Uthaymeen was so happy, and that apple he divided into many parts and gave all his family members. Look at it now today. Even if the only thing, then the Sheikh said, even if the only thing that Sheikh Saadi gave the Ummah was to say mean is more than enough. So sometimes one person, one listener, one follower can make a huge difference. Is there any house of any person of knowledge today that you will find a book of Sheikh Uthaymeen? If it's a shower, if it's a son, you'll find it in his house. You find it there. That is the barakah. It's not in the numbers. You understand? It's not in the numbers, but what? In the impact. In the impact over a long period of time. That is just an aside. So Allah says that it is those who disbelieve that will be punished, are deserving of punishment, and there are those who are far gone astray. And some of the people, some of the kuffar will also say, وَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا وَآبَاؤُنَا أَإِنَّا لَمُخْرَجُونَ. Those أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا, when we have become sand, 30 years, we can't see bones, we can't see meat, we can't see. How easy to put life into what is not existing? Not just us. Let's assume it's us. At least maybe immediately we die, Allah will raise us. What of our fathers that have died thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of years ago? They would raise us, and they will raise those ones too. You mean you will be raised alive? How is that possible? So all these were things that increased their doubt. All these were things that increased their doubt. And these great incidents that they argue and dispute among themselves is the Quran, just like I said, according to one of the views. When Allah was saying, Kul huwa nabahun adhim. Say, in some translation that they say, they will put that the Quran is what is the great news. Sheikh Saadi in his Tafsir was of the opinion that this also talks about the day of Qiyamah. That was the way. The Wahhat Tafsir, which is our main material for this Tafsir, says that that number one azim is what is the Quran. Antum ana mu'ridin, which you people go away from, which you turn your back to. Of course, this definition may be more fitting to the Quran, but who turns his back to the day of Qiyamah when it has not even happened? But of course, one may say that they turn away from the reality of that day. When they deny it, they say it's not going to happen. You understand? But whichever way it is, if it is the Quran, it's the Quran that talks about the day of Qiyamah. If it is also the day of Qiyamah, the day of Qiyamah is a reality that will happen. And when they turn back from the Quran, some of the things that will show they are turning away, they are refusing to accept the message. And the thing that they will say is that innahu sihr, that the Quran is what is magic. And some of them will say innahu shi'r, the Quran is what is music. And some of them will say asatirul awwalin, and they will say it's the stories of old. They'll call it different names, from their mouths. And the Quran, those who deny the message of the Quran about the rising and the likes, among them are the kuffar, among them are the atheists, the mulhidun, and people like them and others who are different from them. And today we are beginning to find Muslims every day. There's an agenda that is being created, and there's something that they are saying to dispute some of these things. Don't be surprised when those we have known yesterday will come tomorrow and will say the day of Qiyamah is not going to happen. Do not be surprised. So the people of the book also differ on this. The Yahud say that when we are raised, it's only our body that will be raised, that will rise. And the Christians, the Nasara, will say that when we are raised, only our soul will be raised. Only our soul will be raised. So those are the places. For the Muslim, it is believed that our body would rise and our soul will be put back into our body. So we'll rise. So both the body and the soul would rise together, inshallah. So that is the belief of the Muslim. Walakin, the kuffar of Mecca, those ones deny totally that we are going to be raised. In its totality, they deny. And they will say, In hiya illa hayatuna dunya namut. Wa nahya wa nahnu bimab'uthin. You know, this dunya will come alive, they will give back to us and we will die. Walakin after it, wa nahnu bimab'uthin. We are not going to be risen. We are not going to rise. So there is a total denial of the rising. There is a total denial of the rising. But the mu'minun, for them, they want, at every point in time, there is assurance. When their knowledge increases, their assurances, the yaqeen they would have, the thabat they would have, would increase. The assurances that the day is going to happen, the clear, distinctive knowledge about it will be clear to them. As they grow in knowledge, so they would affirm it more, even in a greater sense. So they would confirm the rising, they would confirm, accept, that there's accountability, they accept that there will be rewards, they accept that there will be punishment. And this question and everything would increase the fear of the Muslims, and will ensure that they prepare for this day. Whilst the kuffar, they would increase in their inkar, in their denial of this day. They will keep joking about it. Even when they are seeing death like this, they keep thinking it's a joke. They keep thinking it's a joke. And the days go by. They grow old, they are beginning to see gray hair on them, yet they do not know that they are entering their grave. Do you understand? They see their bodies that have been fresh at some point become wrinkled. The muscles that have shown with the strength, start, reducing. The legs that could run miles is not able to walk properly. The person that has been standing praying is longer not able to stand. And these things do not fear that gradually they are walking to their graves. So this is the hal of the kuffar. And for those who have decided to have doubt, they won't increase in anything than their sickness. And their confusion would also increase. Unfortunately today, people have put themselves in the position where they will keep creating more shock in their deen. Shubhat in their deen, doubts. They keep listening to things that they should not listen to. They want to listen to this, it's talking about this. They are not ready to learn about their deen. They are only ready to listen to populi. I want to say vox populi. Do you understand? Public opinion, popular, trending topics. See it everywhere. Unfortunately, it's going to get worse. In the days of monetization, a lot of things, a lot of falsehood will be there. A lot of insincerity will be seen from the scholars and the students of knowledge. It's a fearful thing. A big fitna is coming and it's already here. May Allah save us. Where people will do only things that would earn them money. Even what they are meant to do solely for the face of Allah, there will be some coloration of earning from it. And they will sell the word of Allah Bithaman Qalil. They will sell the word of Allah with what? With for a little price. So may Allah purify our attention. I want to urge us that as people of knowledge, scholars, students of knowledge, duhat, we must be careful of how we get involved in this. If to be free, to keep yourself free, I think whatever platform you are using for dawah opportunities, dawah I think it is better you just stay away from that, because it's a difficult thing to be able to control. You will not be able to say whether you are doing it for the money or you are doing it because you want the face of Allah. We must keep checking our sincerity, and whatever will destroy it, we stay from it. Qatada says, "Who al ba'as ba'da al-maut?" That the rising, this about Azim, which they dispute among themselves, is what is the rising after the death. And the people who become into two, those who believe and those who have belied it. And they said about death. These people, everybody believes in death. The kuffar believe, the Christians, even if they don't believe. When death has taken your father, sometimes it takes your son. It's death is not something anybody can deny. But what they have problem is what is in the rising after death. What they have, the major issue, what is in the rising after death. Will be raised, and that event will eventually happen. The news has been brought to us by the Quran, and it is for us to remain steadfast, to keep listening, keep purifying our intention, and keep doing actions that will move us closer to Allah, because no one is assured of tomorrow. And when we die, the next thing is the rising. May Allah accept all our efforts. May Allah protect us from the fire of Jahannam, and may Allah admit us to the best place in Jannah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.